The key insight is this, that there are two different sources of learning, which is learning from the past, learning from reflecting on the experiences of the past, and secondly, learning from an emerging future possibility, learning from the future as it emerges. What struck me is that virtually all the great learning methodologies that we have are all really based on the same concept of learning, which is the experiential learning concept, which really means reflecting on your experiences of the past. Sometimes you find a situation where reflecting on the past is not particularly helpful. Sometimes you work with leadership teams where the experience of the past is the very problem, is the limiting factor that prevents people to come up with new responses. So when I saw that time and again, the question for me that came up is there a second source of learning? And if so, how does that work? I spoke with a whole number of kind of successful innovators and entrepreneurs and people who created new things in business and in science and research and other fields. What I learned in talking with these practitioners and these real innovators is that they actually operate on a different model than the one that we teach in school. One of the persons who has been particularly clear in articulating what that model is Brian Arthur, the founder of the economics group at the Santa Fe Institute. When you want to figure out what does it take to learn from the emerging future rather than just reflecting and reacting to the past, the first distinction you have to make, he says, is that you have to draw a distinction between two types of cognition. And the first one he referred to as this, kind of downloading, which is kind of really operating on existing mental models, which is kind of you take an existing framework and you lower that onto a situation. Every successful innovation in business and every successful innovation in science is not based on this type of learning, but it's based on a deeper type of cognition. First off, you need to stop downloading. You need to interrupt that kind of process of more of the same. And you need to move into something that he referred to as observe, observe, observe. So the first stage is really to suspend all your existing mental models and to go into a total immersion process, that it's total immersion into the problem at hand. It's a total, you go to the places of most potential that can teach you most about what the current situation and also kind of the solution, the innovation that you want to create. Sometimes that's kind of talking and living with customers. Sometimes it's you go to a totally different industry. You go outside of your industry. Secondly, he said, you need to retreat and reflect and allow the inner knowing to emerge. So he also said you have to go to the place of stillness where knowing comes to surface. So here you go out into the chaos of the world. Here, however, you retreat, you create a place of deep reflection, and you try to listen deeply to everything that you learn and everything that you pick up from a deeper place, from a place that is asking, what is it really that's wanting to happen here, and how does it relate to who I am, to our kind of future path? And then once one or two sparks or so show up here, you move into the third one, which he called act in an instant. So act in an instant is rapid cycle prototyping. It's not like now we need to create a business plan and now we need to put something into a rational formula. It's more what you learn from working with designers, which is that prototyping is a way of not implementing an already blueprinted idea, but prototyping is to explore the future, to explore an opportunity by doing something And by moving into the action part before you're done with conceptualizing an idea and using all the feedback you generate from different stakeholders in order to iterate and evolve your own idea. The social technology that we need really is about leveraging kind of three instruments: the open mind, and then the open heart, which is particularly important when you deal with cross-sector and kind of cross-institutional settings. And then the third one I call kind of the open will, which is really the deeper level of self-knowing and knowing kind of the capacity to let go of the past and your old identity and move into something that's emerging from the future. We haven't learned how to deal with three inner enemies kind of that we meet on the way down here. The first one is called VOJ, the voice of judgment. Unless we are able to suspend the voice of judgment, we are unable to access kind of this source of intelligence, the open mind. On the second level, we really have this second inner enemy, and that's kind of the voice of cynicism. And the third one, of course, we all know very well, the voice of fear. I try not to focus on predicting the future, but I try to focus on learning from the future as it emerges in the now. Because the real art of connecting to the future is to deepen the attention to the current moment. The only thing that's really real is the now. And to deepen our attention to the now can connect us kind of with those emerging possibilities of the future that then, once we connect deeper to that, can guide us to take the next step. You need to know only two things, which is the direction where you think you want to go, and then the very next step.